CJ, let's start with your big concerns about Apple, especially on the back of this AirTag announcement, which happened a couple of weeks ago, and I'm sure you saw it coming. But what is your main complaint?
Welcomes competition. We've been competing for 8 years with small companies to Fortune 50 companies. So we welcome competition from Apple, but we think it needs to be fair. And if you look at the history between Tile and Apple, we had a very symbiotic relationship. They sold Tile in our stores. We were highlighted in 2019 at their Worldwide Developers Conference. And then they launched Find My in 2019. And right when they launched their Find My app, which is effectively a competitor of Tile, they made a number of changes to their OS that made it very difficult for our customers to enable Tile. And then once they got it enabled, they started showing notifications that basically made it seem like Tile was broken. And then if you fast forward to the AirTag launch of a couple of weeks ago, basically the main points of differentiation of AirTags vis-a-vis Tile are enabled via platform capabilities that we don't have access to. So to give you an example, you mentioned the seamless activation. Another one is ultra wideband. That's a technology that's been in the iPhone since 2019. It enables a differentiated type of finding experiences. And we've been seeking to access that since it made its introduction into the iPhone and have been denied. But of course, Apple has access to that capability. Those are just a couple of examples of how we're disadvantaged.
I know it's only been a few weeks since the AirTag unveiling, but has this dented Tile sales at all, or has it been a publicity boost for Tile's products? I mean, how do you see this playing out long term?
Well, it's only been a few days, actually. So the AirTags launch became available on the 30th. So it's super early, too early to tell. The good news is that Tile is very well positioned. So we've got a super differentiated product. We're cross-platform. We have many form factors. You don't need an accessory to attach it to your things. We're louder. We've got better range. So we have a lot going for us from a product perspective. So we feel good about our competitive position, but we don't feel like we should be competing in the way we are with Apple. And what's really important to note is this is much broader than Tile. This is about long-term consumer choice, innovation thriving, and lower prices. And that's why we're being so vocal about this. Of course, it's impacting us. But when you think about the coalition we formed with Epic and Match and Spotify, this is an issue that impacts all industries, consumers across the globe, and we want competition to thrive, innovation to thrive, and we think consumers should have more choices.
And as you mentioned, of course, there are other companies that have a problem with how Apple operates, not the least of which is Epic. Also, in this coalition, you've got Spotify, you've got Match, you've got Tile. What about the counter argument? If you want to talk about innovation, why shouldn't Apple be able to create a product that potentially works better or integrates better with Apple products than Tile?
Yeah, it's a great question. The two aren't mutually exclusive. So Apple doesn't need to take advantage of its monopoly position of the App Store and of the iPhone and enable advantages that only they can partake in. They can make those advantages available to all companies so we can compete on a level playing field. And if you think about it, and if you take this to its ultimate conclusion, Apple has the potential to go from a $2 trillion company to a $5 trillion company to a $10 trillion company because they can basically identify categories, and all categories now go through the phone. 85% of US people have a smartphone. People spend 4 hours a day or more on their smartphone. So they can identify a category, create advantages for themselves in that category, disadvantage the competition like they've done to us, and basically grab a massive market share in that category. And if you look at Apple's results from the first quarter, 90 billion in revenue, 54% growth, EPS 200%. If that's not a runaway monopoly train, I don't know what is.
Now, it's interesting you point out that Apple is a $2 trillion company. In its opening statements today, Apple points out that Epic is a $28 billion company and, quote, doesn't want to pay for Apple's innovations anymore. So Epic, Apple says, is demanding the court force it into the App Store, untested, untrusted apps, which is something Apple has never done. Apple's unwavering commitment to safety, security, reliability, and quality doesn't allow it. Antitrust laws don't require it. What's your response to Apple's counter argument to what Epic is claiming?
You know, the Epic litigation is a small milestone in a much broader effort. So whether Epic wins or loses this litigation, legislative action is required in order to enable a level playing field for all developers, in order for innovation to continue to thrive, in order for there to be competition, in order for there to be consumer choice. And so while Epic is an ally with us and Spotify and Match and the 50, 60 other developers that have joined that coalition, despite the threat of retaliation from Apple, this is a global issue that cuts across industries, and this litigation is going to expose some of the realities of Apple's business, but it's really a small milestone. What matters much more is the legislative action that we're starting to see out of the EU, where they found that Apple's policies were anti-competitive. And if you look at the bipartisan App Store hearing that happened a couple of weeks ago, there was very clear alignment that Apple's got an issue here. So the Epic litigation is one small step in a much broader effort to bring a level playing field and consumer choice to the market.
So, quick question. I mean, what do you want? Do you think the App Store should be separated from Apple? You know, what is a remedy that you believe would be fair?
Yeah, you know, I would encourage this. It's a more nuanced answer and more detailed answer. I would encourage listeners to go to the App Store Senate hearing and read our testimony, read the testimony from Spotify and Match. But at the highest level, what we're looking for is a level playing field. So when we are competing with Apple in a category, we should be competing fairly, and no excessive taxes on developers, because those costs get passed on to consumers and eliminate consumer choice. So that at the highest level, that's what we're looking for.